Wow, this window, oh my God, I think it's just been pouring since like 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then the wind's been blowing sideways.
I'm surprised, I shouldn't say this, but Woodside's got a lot of power out, Menlo Park and Atherton have power out.
I am shocked our
There's
power.
Lindsay.
There's Lindsay, we have a quorum. Hi, Sarah. Can you
Hey
hear us?
Patty, I just wanted to say hello and make sure you knew I was here and make sure everybody's okay over there with all this crazy weather.
Yeah, we're fine as can be, I guess. Yeah, pretty rough evening. You okay?
Where are you, Sarah?
I'm in my house.
She's supposed to be here with us?
No, liaisons can join
Ah.
remotely.
Okay. It's really cold in here.
Turn the heat on. You guys know how to turn that heat on?
Patty turned it on, but it's.
It might take a minute or two, but it warms up. It's always like that when we first start.
Yeah.
All right, well, just saying hi and letting you guys know I'm here and I'll turn my video off, but if there's anything I can do to support Patty, just give me a holler.
Will do. Thank you. Tell you what, if this doesn't discourage
my
people
hair.
from coming down
I
to
guess
the
I'm being
meetings.
recorded.
I don't know
I
what to
can.
do.
Cool down, Mike.
Hey, how are you? You look tan. Have you been somewhere sunny?
Oh my God. We're excited. I get a gavel. Pardon?
Apple first.
We raise these chairs. I feel like I'm-
I don't know.
Old and stiff to move. Fried. Good show, Alpine this afternoon. See her daughter in the gym, and her daughter looks fully grown, and I was like, oh boy. Good. You know, Shannon, she plays softball.
No, but when. Oh, yeah. I didn't know it.
And that's
Yeah, she did. Pretty good, yeah. All right, look, we got a quorum. We're here on time.
Ooh,
We got through the blizzard.
The cyclone.
I don't think we're
the
through it
comet
yet.
Cyclone.
it looks like from the news, it's gonna go on all night.
We did something great enough to go down.
I know it. Yeah, isn't that horrible? Oh,
Be careful when you drive.
man is up to 3-2 in the top of the ninth. I mean, the Parks and Rec Committee is missing the World Baseball
Oh, I
Classic
thought that
game.
it was postponed. I was looking at it earlier.
No,
3
it's
to 2 in
raining
the
here.
night.
It's not raining there, John.
It said postponed when I looked at it.
Okay. We're hoping the heat will kick in here in the schoolhouse. so.
Can you read public online?
What? Yeah. Gotta get it up there. I have 2 people in public. Okay, find me the order.
It sounds hollow.
Maybe it's not meant to be used as a weapon. Sarah, you need a better gavel. Okay. Call to order. Roll call. John, Dave, John, Lindsay, Karen, here, Patty. At this time, I'd like to call for oral communication for any items not on the agenda. We have nobody in the schoolhouse right now, and we have two people on Zoom. Diana and Ann, do you have any comments items not related to items on the agenda? Once, going twice.
Yep, I heard it.
Johnson, you're not allowed to.
What? I don't know, good, but I'm not sure everybody may be aware of it, but not personally. I found two tennis sticks.
What?
I found two tennis sticks
Where were they hiding?
behind county offices.
That's part of the housing element.
I know, so we have to speak up to the housing level and say, get those courts,
County officers, what kind?
what's to
Alpine
down.
and Naftors, the property
Oh,
that has
those,
country,
oh,
country offices.
Yeah, two pretty nice courts, there's lots of parking, nobody ever uses them. We have to ask the housing people to include the tennis courts and they get the area, whatever they're gonna do.
I think that parcel was looked at. No, we looked at it for dog park.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gonna get that for housing, I think.
It's private land.
It's privately owned. It's the gentleman that owns the country offices, owns that whole, all of that land. And, it was, it's a site in the housing element with development back there on the courts. And,
Okay.
yeah, no, it would have been nice.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Okay, I'm gonna move forward on the, approval of minutes. Any comments on the minutes from the last meeting? Any second? All those in favor?
Hi.
Ann, I'm sorry, you have your hand up?
I do. Can you hear me? It's really hard to hear I can hear Patty, but it's hard to hear the other people. Do you mind putting the mics a lot closer to your mouth?
Sure. I haven't let him talk yet, Ann, but that's fine.
Okay.
We'll do better. Thank you, though, for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Okay, I am gonna move, if you don't mind, to the discussion of the court usage reservation policy, since I think that's why we have people online, if that's all right with the committee.
Yes.
Okay. The updated policy draft was included in the handouts to the meeting. Did everybody have a chance?
No, I didn't get them.
They were in
I
the,
didn't see them.
they were attached to what it came out to with Melissa. Okay. Well, I can pass this around. Excuse me. Cindy Rowe has worked with this. She wasn't able to join us tonight, but she worked on this rather extensively with the pickleball group. Excuse me, I'm terribly sorry. And also was able to get some comments from the tennis players, not all. The biggest changes that we made based upon the proposal that we discussed last time was the prime times for pickleball. Not that we're always solving for pickleball, but it is a variable. When the most people show up to play are Saturday afternoons and Sunday mornings. That's when they typically need both courts to handle 8 pickleball courts. So what Cindy and the group worked out is that a proposal would be to dedicate court 1 and court 2 to pickleball on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. And then flip-flop it and dedicate it to tennis Saturday morning, which is a popular time for tennis, and Sunday afternoon, which is a popular time for tennis. So Saturday morning, tennis, Saturday afternoon pickleball, Sunday morning pickleball, Saturday afternoon tennis.
So I get it. What you're saying is Saturday, Sunday morning.
Courts 1 and 2 would be dedicated to pickleball.
Saturday morning.
But courts 1 and 2 would be dedicated to tennis.
But dedicated priority.
Priority, sorry, yes.
And
Priority.
Was this discussed with the family that was here advocating for the tennis last meeting?
I don't know the answer to the question. Okay, remember, this is just proposal, so it's a draft,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I did look at the reservations, the people that reserve it for tennis primarily reserve it Saturday night. I mean, that's a big tennis. But I didn't follow that family, I can do that. The other big change that we made, that Cindy made, sorry. If you recall in the last meeting, we discussed having only 2 hours per day dedicated to reservations for pickleball. And that time was going to be 9 to 11 a.m. Cindy pointed out that that's actually when they have a lot of drop-in players for pickleball. And that she would prefer, the pickleball group would prefer to move the reservation times to a time when the courts are not as used. So the 2 hours per day that's reserved for pickleball is now moved from 9 to 11 to 11 to 1.
But by reserved for pickleball, you mean that it's open to be for online reservations for the general public, but all the leagues and stuff that go through the town field and court usage policies can get it, except for that time period.
That's correct.
And this is 11 to 1 Monday through Friday.
The other change that was made is that non-residents would, remember last time we said only residents could make reservations. What we have proposed now is that that's the same, only residents would be allowed to make reservations, but non-residents, which is inclusive of people who live outside of the incorporated limits of Portola Valley, would have visibility on SCEDA to see what courts are available. And they could reserve if the courts were unavailable 24 hours in advance. The other change that was proposed was that recurring reservations will not be allowed. So somebody can't just go in and say, I want to do it, 11 to 1 every Tuesday for the next 6 months. Can't do it. 1 month. No, they can't. I'm going to turn, the proposal was to turn off recurring. I mean, they could go in and manually add it, but they would have to manually add it every week. There's a feature in SCEDA that just says, repeat, repeat, repeat. I would turn that. Thinking was that if people, kind of like your gym membership, if you have to put it in every time, you're more likely to go. Whereas if you put in recurring, people forget about it. And we are finding more times when people are not showing up for the reservation, especially recurring.
Alpine Hills, it's only 3 days in advance. People still don't show up.
The other change was, remember, I had a big long paragraph in there the other time about the paddle rack system where people waiting to play pickleball would put their racks, blah, blah, blah. What we kind of took that off, and Cindy said, let the pickleball people go define what they want that to be, as opposed to really putting it in a policy. And I'm not sure that's really kind of more for them to police themselves as opposed to us to tell them how to do it. So those are the changes, and I'll gladly pass this around. You can take a look at it. It is online attached to the meeting items that were sent out by Melissa. So I will open it now for committee discussion or questions.
So the normal field usage defines seasons where you have to put your reservations in. Season, is that, are we gonna apply those same seasons to these courts or not?
No. It's not in the draft, no. These would be year round unless we decided otherwise. Any other questions by the committee?
I think the big thing is just, I do think we should make sure that the tennis players see it. Not that in the first one, that people have actually been pretty accommodating.
frankly. Try to work it out. And it's just edging it a little bit over from where it was. Mostly, I think, taking Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. Opposed to just being, always one and one. So this just makes work.
Yeah, what I did do last time, and I didn't do it this time, and I apologize, is I put it out on the forum. And I also sent an email to everybody on SCETA. I can do that before
Yeah, I
the
would
next meeting.
focus less on it. I thought that a lot of the feedback on the forum.
I know,
I
but
would focus on people.
then I can just do SCETA. if
Yeah,
that's-
you have an email.
I do. I have everybody's email address on SCETA.
Excuse me, Patty, through the chair. It's hard. I can hear you very well. I can't hear anybody else very well. I don't know if the others who are listening in are having the same challenge. Just wanted to give you the heads up.
Thank you, Sarah.
Absolutely,
Can you hear, is your little light on in front of your microphone?
Yes,
Did you hear that?
we have to lean into the microphone.
You have to.
Much
lean-
better. That's much better. Yes, thank you.
Everybody has to lean in. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, so if I am a tennis player and I show up to play tennis on, I gotta look the right times, Sunday morning. And there's an open court and I start playing, does pickleball get to take it over? So it's not just about the reservations, it's about when the court can be used by whom.
For Sunday morning, what we're defining is the priority group is pickleball.
Okay. I need to think about that a little bit because I've actually been there when pickleball's had all the courts and tennis players have come and wanted to play. So I know that this is, I guess, Cindy's very fair and it's primarily when the
Mhm.
courts are being used,
Mhm.
but I just need to think about whether that we should be exclusive, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Lean in, Lindsay. Lean in to the microphone. So court one, which is the court closest to the maintenance shed, will have 4 pickleball courts assigned to it, A, B, C, and D.
Right.
Court two will only be court 2, which is the middle court. Because pickleballers can't reserve on court 2, only tennis players can reserve on court. Pickleballers can only reserve on court 1. There'll be a test at the end of all of this.
Nope, nope,
I'm
nope.
sorry, I know. We wanted to try and keep it very simple. But any other questions from the committee? Okay, I'm gonna
So-
open it up.
Just a comment that the location, I don't see where it says court one is the maintenance shed one and court two is the sport court one.
Well, they're labeled that way right now, I believe.
At the site.
Okay. Court one labeled currently, court one and court two, are they're labeled? Yeah.
Maybe not really.
Oh, I have one other question. It came up in the meeting last month. Requests to be able to reserve the sport court, half the sport court.
Mhm.
And in a subsequent conversation I was having, I was told that the sport court is not reservable, but that's the town policy. And I just wanted to check in on that.
So I didn't think the sports court was reservable either, but I looked on SCETA and it's not reservable, if that makes sense. You can reserve it. But I think we can make a decision about whether we want court 3 to be reservable or not.
Reservable for what?
Basketball, if somebody
For
wanted to play
basketball?
basketball.
Yeah, remember last month, there was a request that they could reserve half court.
Why not?
I don't see why not either.
You can show up, you want to make sure you get first place.
Are we getting a skate ramp?
Skate ramp is on the agenda. further
Just
discussion.
it influences whether we
Could be,
set up a reservation system there.
could, yes. Lindsay?
It says, court availability may not be posted on any social media.
That's correct.
How do you check your?
Public, social media, not SCEDA.
Oh,
So
okay.
SCEDA is a private reservation system. We had people who were posting court availability out on like Nextdoor and things like that. We had people showing up from all over, and we don't want to encourage that. We want our residents to be able to help. Well, then they're in trouble, big time. Okay, any other questions
Uh,
from the committee?
How's the trouble enforced? Remove them from SCADA?
No,
You can't say don't do it and don't have an enforcement.
I understand. I don't know.
You have the muscle show up. Remove them.
Okay, any other questions from the committee? Okay, I'm going to open it up right now to public comments. Do we have any public comments? Raise their hand, please, or unmute yourself. Ann, go ahead.
Hey there, I'm mostly a pickleball player, former tennis player. I'm in favor of this plan. I think Cindy and Patty's idea is that we'll do this for 3 months and then we can see how it works and we can jigger it if there's problems one way or the other. So I'm in favor of that. And then I was a little unclear about when the non-residents and the people in the sphere of influence, namely Ladera, Vista Verde, and Los Trancos, I think could reserve only 24 hours in advance. But I'm in favor of the sphere of influence getting treated equally, that however we treat Ladera is the same as Vista Verde and Los Trancos. That feels more consistent with how the town does other things. But otherwise, I'm in favor of trying this. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. I forgot to mention, there's a little blurb down at the bottom that we're going to try this for 3 months and gauge after town council approval when it will go into effect, and then revisit it to see if it needs any adjustments or help in between. And I think it'll be, continually revisited as we get more information. Anybody else online that had a comment? Okay, I'm going to close public comments then, bring it back to the committee for any other discussion.
What's the process going forward?
We can take a vote on it tonight if you wish, if the committee wishes to. If we bring it to a vote and if it passes, then we set the item on the town council agenda to review with the town council.
I personally think we need to get feedback from the tennis players before we take a vote. I just don't know.
And you think that an email out to SCEDA is adequate?
Personally, no. Might want to go straight to the people that came to just to highlight it to them. There's a handful of people. tennis players.
Is that one family, right?
Plus, this is the same guy that's going to do a skateboard ramp, so.
Would it make sense to cast a wider net? Or I understand you're saying only go to the people that use it, but I think there are some people that use the court for tennis and they don't know about the reservation system. Because it's not posted at the courts. And
It
it's-
is, no, that's not, it's posted at the courts that if you want access to the reservation system, here's the process to go through it.
Okay. When I was there the last time, there was nothing on the board, so
think
I
that's 'cause
didn't
we-
see it.
I think that's the last come up.
Right, but
The
it, so
rain
it
came in.
hasn't been there for a while.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, the only way to cast a wider net would be to put it on the phone. I don't know how else to get to more people other than to sit at the tennis court and, poll every tennis player that comes up. So I'm open to ideas. I mean, I'm not saying I don't respect the suggestion. I'm just saying I don't, how to do it better.
Well, I think that if we were specific in that we, you know, that we were looking for feedback and that if somebody, please send your information to an address and indicate how often you play, like get a little bit more information from the respondent so that people that respond would truly be people that were genuinely interested.
And you don't think we could get that from the SCEDA people, the people who actually book reservations?
Yes, I'm saying that I'm not sure everybody knows about the court reservation system, so they may not be a SCEDA person.
I disagree, but I respect you.
Oh,
You're right to
Patty,
say it, damn it.
well done.
I respect your right to say it. I don't know, we've had the reservation system in place for like a year and a half. If people had wanted to play tennis, my humble opinion is they would have. Okay, any other comments from the committee? Okay, so what action or proposal do I hear from the committee?
I think we should send it out to the tennis players and see if there's much opposition to specifically, particularly the Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning preference for pickleball.
Okay.
And if it's not clear, then maybe we have it at the next meeting and put it out there if they come with you.
Okay, so is your motion to defer it for another month with that specific action in mind?
It doesn't have, if it doesn't have to be for a month. I mean, first of all, I guess we need a vote. So-
Well, we'd have to bring it back to the committee to vote. So it would have to be for another month, at least, and then it would take another month to get it into town council.
Oh, second.
The second, whatever he said.
Yeah, whatever.
I agree with you.
All those in favor of that motion?
It's March. It might rain for the next month.
I vote yes.
Dave, do you have a vote?
Yeah, like, I agree, we should talk to the tennis. people,
Okay.
less family.
The vote is 4-1 to talk to tennis players. All right. Moving on to, then we'll go back to the agenda. So in terms of new business, thank you. Review and discuss the status of the skateboard ramp. I was asked to put this on the agenda based upon the feedback from the family that was here last time, since they expressed interest in the skateboard ramp. It's been tabled for ever since we tore apart the last one, which has been, what, about a year ago now? For those maybe new on the committee, the old skateboard ramp got old and just fell apart. Wasn't safe, we took it apart. We were looking for replacements. We actually found some online that we could get that were kind of like ready-made kits. You just get them. And we ordered them and bring them together. They were under $1,000. I think. What are they now? But those actions have been tabled and deferred for some time. We have not gone back to revisit the skateboard ramp. Howard and the Public Works Department did express some concern about the kits. And basically we just didn't move it.
So I think that for these things, often what you need is a sponsor, somebody motivated to go take it on. And it sounds like that gentleman is here. We're going to do a whole lot of that, including building a skateboard ramp, which actually I think would become more similar to what we had before, rather than prefabricated ones. So my recommendation would be to have somebody here. We should see if anybody here, the five of us, is motivated to take this on, but mostly it's just a connection to that person who would put it together, a proposal, right? And here, look at it, and then I think with some guidance, you could probably put together a proposal. He would say what size, how to build it, cost, etc.
Okay.
That's my view, but I guess it starts with if people think that we should have a skateboard ramp, replace the skateboard ramp. I'm kind of self because I saw it being used. I don't know, leave that basketball court open when we all sports court open like that because we're using up half the skateboard ramp.
My opinion, comment. My fear is we are going to get to capacity on two courts between pickleball and tennis very quickly. And that we are probably going to have to entertain the idea of maybe turning that third court into either pickleball or tennis. It's my thinking going forward, which basically takes a skateboard ramp out of the equation. Now, that's not a reason not to do the skateboard ramp, maybe not a reason not to at least do some research into what it would take to get a skateboard ramp. But I think that court, I think we're gonna have to think about it going forward.
So I'm unfamiliar with the skateboard ramp. Does it take up one half of the court so the other half can be used or? Okay,
You could still shoot baskets, but you certainly couldn't play.
Can't play full court.
You couldn't
Well, and
even
you couldn't
half
play
court on the
pickleball
one-
or
on the
tennis.
half court, like you can shoot, you can take free throws. but
Yeah.
You couldn't like,
Yeah.
play.
You don't think you can play basketball in the
No, on the
half-
far side, but on the
Yeah.
other half.
Yeah.
court.
So you
right,
could
which
be on
is,
half
which,
court.
which is, in the meeting last month, most, everybody said they played half court. So the full court was not that important.
Full court takes a lot of organization. I mean, like 10 people out there.
Mhm.
You can have a play, or the people that do that use the school gyms. So what it would do, it actually would preclude tennis court there.
Yes.
Um, Now, they kind of had issues with that anyway. because
Well,
they-
Port Madera did. Yeah.
Port Madera said, yeah, they didn't feel you could put a tennis court there, even though it's designed for it, by the way. But, that's because of the baskets. But anyway, but I think you could still put two pickleball courts,
You could put two pickleball courts and have a skateboard ramp.
but you have to be able to move them for the basketball.
You would.
Would you be able to have pickleball courts that you roll the nets into, that we could do that now?
I think so, actually. That's why I keep going. If you actually look at how it's lined, right, it's lined for three things. Right? It's a full court basketball, a tennis court, right? Because it was originally planned to be a tennis court and it was conceived as being something where you would, I mean, it's even got places where you would put up the nets. And then there's another game, which I have yet to figure out. Nobody has ever been able to answer. When it's lined for something else. And, nobody knows what it is.
Maybe we should have a contest and see if anyone can figure out what
Part of
that
the
sport
trivia night.
is.
The trivia night question.
Howard doesn't know. I'm pretty sure he was the one that was signing.
We don't have anybody online, so you don't have to speak into the microphone anymore.
Sarah's not there?
Well, so Sarah's in. Sorry, Sarah.
The first
mean that.
question in trivia night. What is this for?
Yeah, right. What is this for line?
Well, I'm just wondering if we could use, if there were the appropriate lines. I know they had the tape lines for a long time there. Those could also be used for pickleball, that would alleviate some of the congestion on courts 1 and 2.
I think they should line it to pickleball.
Okay.
Because there's no, just actually, they should remove all the lines, right, except for the basketball. And decide what the other thing is, and it's probably should be pickleball, because it's never gonna be tennis nets put up, there's not any reason for tennis nets.
Well,
But again, they would have to say they were gonna use them.
he would, but
Okay?
if Corte Madera keeps coming and asking for 2 courts every year, I think one of our proposals should be court 3 as your second court.
Have to agree that they can play on that.
I agree.
Oh, okay, let's go back to putting pickleball.
Let's go back to the
Lines.
skateboard ramp.
Well, right, and then we'll go to the pickleball
Right,
lines.
right, yeah.
So the skateboard ramp, the only thing, it would include 2 things, full court basketball and tennis on that all sports. And again, I believe there's never been tennis played on it. and There's just never been tennis nets put up and not even. sure we
Actually, the
have them.
skateboard ramps that we found online had wheels on them, so you could.
And then basketball again, maybe have been about a full court basketball. game. Really very rare since everybody played basketball.
Okay, well, I'm happy to dig out what I had for the skateboard ramp last time, just to bring it back and so we could see what was kind of the proposal at that time. And you could take a look at it.
Great. What was Howard's issue?
Howard's issue,
Yeah, with the kids.
Howard didn't, well, I can't speak for him. I'm trying to recall. He didn't necessarily like kind of online kits. Didn't necessarily think they were safe.
It was a quality / safety
Safety,
issue.
quality. He just, literally, I think he said he just hadn't had time to look into them and just wasn't comfortable with them.
Did he have a rebuttal proposal or was it just a no?
He was ready to go back to the original contractor that we used before and have them build a custom one, which would have been much more expensive. And these were, I talked to a skateboard guy and he said they were fine. So, but I'm not a skateboard. guy.
Sales guys always say that.
Do you remember how much the first one was or how much?
Second,
Okay.
it was under $1,000.
But that's for the prefabricated one.
We had to build it, but
Yeah.
yeah, the kit came, it was like,
Do you know how much it was for the?
oh, it was thousands, it was more. You mean the one that was built?
Digit thousands, yeah. Well, again, this guy said he can build it. By the way, often Howard has an issue with that too. He doesn't really
Okay,
people coming in and
why don't we
just-
take this offline? I will bring back kind of what I had before, and maybe I'll reach out to this person who was here last time and see if I can get a couple options. Okay, all right. Can we close that discussion item?
Yeah, and then do we need to, for next month, put on the agenda about relining the sports court? We can. I'd like to do that.
All right,
Patty, it was a little hard to follow that whole discussion. Would you just recap what the decision was?
for the skateboard ramp?
Yeah.
Patty will go back and look at where we kind of ended the skateboard discussion when it was dropped from the agenda as to what the online proposals were. And I will also reach out to the gentleman and his family that were here at the last meeting who expressed an interest in the skateboard ramp and get his input.
Thank you.
Does that,
We're gonna- Do you have information from Howard? Or can you get, does Howard have any old
I'll
notes about
see if I'll
costs of
dig
a
out what Howard had. as
full
well.
blown?
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Right.
I'll see what I got too.
I think it just starts with whether we want a skateboard ramp or not. And if you say yes, because the only reason not to, I think, is to use them for pickleball. Maybe. And then once you say yes, I think somebody just needs to drive it, because it's not that hard to figure out how to do it.
Well, but it's a trade-off, right? I mean, it's like if we come back to the town council and say we want to spend $1,000 for a skateboard ramp. That's a budget decision, right? But then, what, what's the demand, what's the, you know, how many people use it?
Yeah, and we don't have data on it, but I think, you know, observing it for like 10 years or however long it's out there, at least 5 years. Big estimates, how much. To me, it was being used as much as basketball.
Yeah, I think
sports do.
A lot of kids go out there with their skateboards and things like that. You know, I think it was part of like a little playground.
So if you decide that you want to, then get this guy. This is what happened last time. Right? Just one person on the committee and volunteer from the community who kind of put together. It's sort of like what the pickleball people are doing, and coming with a proposal. So he would do a lot of the work. So here's what I would recommend: size. Here are some ideas for the construction. We'd probably be pretty well aligned with our to kind of get a good one, or one that's sturdy, safe, last. You know, then we'll kind of look at the costs. Personally, I don't think the costs would be huge, though, even if it's in the low digit. Last time it was, you know, we need, you know, possible we could try to go get.
Right, I will come back to the next meeting with some information about it. Okay, John, you asked about the blackout dates for 2023.
So the issue is just, actually, I'll tell you what my issue is that we keep getting mailed, you know, at a certain time of the year, like, here's when you can't use the fields, and it's always a surprise, because we already have all the schedules, you know? And so somehow, you know, I'd like to try to figure out how to get the town staff to talk to us. Okay?
No, have you given them the schedules?
Yeah.
And s-
They have it in their own system. I mean,
Right.
they say this is when the soccer, but what happens is the cultural arts committee comes along, right, and says, we want to do an event, which is fine. And then they decide that they want to close down the entire town center for a weekend. You know, that can be okay. We'll try to work around it. Some of us only use town field. Right? Both softball and soccer don't have anywhere else to go. You know, the youth generally, you know, can use other fields. Again, it's just more a matter of they'll have to figure out how to get them
Communication,
just
I
to
think,
tell me.
yeah.
So it's not like here it is, and every year I have to go back and say that's the day of our finals, right? And it's opening day of our softball season, and you're telling me I can't play on Sunday because you have an event on Saturday. So,
You made the reservation.
they say here you can play from here to here, you know.
So this
we say
may,
exactly when we want it, you know. And
This-
then you get this thing that says you can't use it on that day. Halfway through the season.
this may tie into a conversation with Sarah and I had with Corey. Yesterday, was it yesterday? When was it? Which can we table that and I'll bring it back to another discussion item? Okay, new business for C was review proposal for simplifying and clarifying committee operations. I attended a meeting last Tuesday, I think, and like totally spacing on what days it is, of all the chairpersons of all the committees. There's a subcommittee formed by Councilmember Warnickoff and Councilmember Craig Taylor to streamline and gain more efficiency in our committee operations, for lack of a better word. I don't have the exact title in front of me, but whether it is simplifying and clarifying committee operations. And specifically, it is a kind of an Uber thing that the town council is doing, and that is to kind of update the committee handbook. But in order to update the committee handbook, there are a lot of inputs into the committee handbook that people want to take a look at. One of them is the difficulty of complying with Brown Act requirements and you have 17 town committees. If we do, we have 17 town committees. Which is another issue, by the way. that So Councilmember Warnickoff and Taylor called together the chairs of those 17 committees and asked them to come together to discuss potentially what alternatives we would have to the current committee structure. In particular, what criteria would be available to some of those committees if they chose not to be under the auspices of the grant. I think that's a thorough public session thing, so. It was just an introduction of the topic. There was a matrix of how we would look at things like membership, make decisions, the charter, actions, notifications, agendas, minutes, all the things that every committee has to comply with now because all committees are under the auspices of the Brown Act. And would it, would the world fall apart if Parks and Rec was not under the Brown Act? For instance, I'm just saying. There are some committees, things like conservation, open space, trails and paths, I think, that are required by the town general plan to be under the Brown Act requirement. Things like Parks and Rec, an advisory committee, doesn't need to be under the auspices of things. Would it make our life simpler? What would we still want to do? What we still need to do? Obviously, we need to be beholden to the public. We need transparency in what we do. We need to have these discussions regardless. But do we need to publish our agenda 72 hours in? Right? Do we need to have minutes that are structured exactly like the minutes of this? Do we need to, whatever we need to do on the agenda? So it was just a discussion. The notes from that meeting will be, we will update a draft of what the potential discussion item will be, and then all the chairs are being asked to take it back to their committees and have a discussion with you. So I don't have anything right now because I don't have anything to discuss with you, but I wanted to introduce you to the subject and let you know that it's coming down. How much questions on that?
No, I mean, I think that the ADU task force that we were on was an example of being able to get things done more quickly while being transparent and listening to the residents and such. So,
And that was a good example that we brought up. Yeah. Okay, that's all for new business. Moving on to old business. We've already talked to the court usage reservation policy. Let's move on to something fun.
dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
save
dun,
the
dun, dun,
date.
dun, the show and tell.
Okay. So we discussed potential trivia night in our last month's meeting, and then John and I got together and we have a date, Saturday, May 13th in the community hall. We've booked the hall. It's available. It's from 6 to 10 p.m. and the trivia will be from 7 to 9 p.m. And here's some examples of what the posters and banners might look like. One of the things that I do want to talk with our committee is about whether we charge or not, and then how we would do that. So that I want to, but I'll go over some of the basics and then I'd like to have a discussion about that. So we talked about the community hall. Carrie Chin is going to help us and have a registration page for us, and we'll have a page on the website where people can go and get information and register. And the thought is that we will have wine and beer and soft drinks and finger foods, popcorn machine, and then our goal is to get around 50 to 75 people, maybe 12 teams of 6, and have prizes for, there'd be 5 rounds and have prizes for each round winner and then an overall team prize at the end. John, pipe in whenever you want. And as far as promotion and marketing, I mentioned the web page on the town site. through the PV forum, of course. In fact, tomorrow I'm planning to put out a save the date on the forum. The town email and weekly newsletter, posters, banners, individual emails. We'd love you all to be inviting your friends and letting them know about it. Spread the word. And that's basically it. We will need volunteers for a number of different, so we'll have to get volunteers as well. And I don't know, do you have, and the one thing that we do need is to get our budget approved for it. We put together a budget, and I know Patty, you were gonna work with Sarah on that. Because before we go out and we announce everything, we should make sure that we have the funds to do it. So can we ask Sarah right now?
Sarah and I had exchanged an email. I put the request into Sarah for just about $2,000, which was primary, like banners and posters was like 200. You had
Yeah,
that.
food, drink, prizes, 1,000, popcorn machine, 115 or so, banners and posters, 400, tablecloths, napkins, cups, etc., $100. So the total there is 1,615, it's approximate.
Right, so John, you may be able to help here. One of the questions that Sarah had and I couldn't answer was, I knew I came in under the town budget. So we had budgeted 22 for the town budget. It was 20.5 and change. We had budgeted 5K for Zots. But I never got a final accounting of how much. I mean, I always thought Zots was kind of net positive,
Yeah,
especially since we had the hats this year and not the shirts.
yeah, exactly. We had like 400 people and, so we made like $4,000. We didn't spend it.
Right. So one of the questions Sarah had was, because I said, I believe we have money left in the budget because as a committee, we had 27,000. I spent 20.5 on the town picnic. I thought the Zots was at least neutral, if not positive. So her question, and it's a valid question, was, do we have budget left? And I told her I didn't have that accounting.
Quite sure we do, but don't, I think we would need to ask somebody.
Well, that's what I know. I know we would
staff.
have to ask
Try to figure that out.
Cindy probably to see if they could get us how much. We just need to know what the Zots ins and outs were.
Try to recreate that. Submitted all the expenses, right, so that.
Yeah.
Revenue, most of it went through the website.
Yeah.
So I could add that. up.
Well, I think we can add it up, but I think we need to verify with the town. I mean, Tara's doing the right thing, which is just to say, yeah, are you sure you got, money left in the budget?
Exactly. So that was my thought too. I mean,
Yeah.
to go through a process of getting something approved. seems like in time, make sure we do, so I can try to figure out on the cost part of it. How it's going out.
Yeah, I know Sarah was trying to work with Jeremy before he left and that didn't happen. So, I mean, I can certainly reach out to Cindy and ask her if she has an accounting for Zots. 'Cause I've got the
What
town.
else is there
picnic.
besides sots, pots, and the town picnic? Anything else?
That's
Oh,
it.
so that-
Yeah, because the nets were paid for by Public Works. There's
Oh,
Sarah. Sarah, did we ever get an accounting on the Zots?
I personally didn't ask for it in a follow-up from the email thread that I had with you, so I'm happy to do that. I didn't realize that was a
No,
to-do.
I can do it. If I don't, I can do it if you want, if that's okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, just copy
Okay.
me.
Okay.
And I think the other thing is, yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I think we just wanna, I think regardless of this, you guys would wanna know how your budget kind of panned out in the end. So I think that's good, housekeeping regardless. I was looking over your email here while you guys were talking, and I think you mentioned, first and foremost, as I told Patty, I think this is an awesome idea. I'm fully in support. I just was trying to do my due diligence to check off all the, both budgetary and staff resources it would require. It sounds like you're in sync with Carrie and she's helping you you said here an hour or so, maybe with website stuff, and promotional stuff for Carrie. Hanging banners. And, the only other, just to confirm, I heard that you thought the committee could do setup and cleanup with volunteers.
Yes.
And then, I guess the question is the alcohol, like, do you guys want to do BYOB, or is it important to you that this is purchased? And the only reason is just because that gets to a little more complexity in terms of insurance and paperwork and all of that.
Okay, well, I filled out the form and it asked, are you planning on serving alcohol? And I said, yes. And I didn't hear anything back on that. So if there is something more, who should I ask?
I'll have to
I was
find out.
told that, I was told you can serve alcohol at an event, but you cannot sell it.
Okay.
I think we need to confirm that with probably Cindy as well, or Taylor. I don't know.
I don't know who we ask right now, but I will find out.
All right, thanks.
So
Sarah.
you guys want to be able to serve it, not sell it. But
We're
you're,
not-
We don't want to sell it.
no, but we were just like
you
how
might
the
sell
town- the
tickets to the
town-
event.
the volunteer appreciation party,
Mhm.
you know, very similar to that,
Okay,
where alcohol was served.
okay. And then, yeah, I'll start with Carrie then, because she organized that event, and I'll copy you on it, Patty.
Okay.
I guess one question is if you guys want to sell tickets to this, is that, I don't know how that, the
Well, that-
ramifications of that in terms of an appearance of selling alcohol.
Yeah, we haven't decided yet. If we're going to talk about that now.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's a good segue. So we've had some brief discussions on whether we should charge for this event like a $10 a person. And one, it helps recoup the costs so we can continue to have more events like this so that we become self-funding. But also it's a way to perhaps incent people to show up if they've paid. But it's not easy to set up, or the town right now with staffing, it's not easy to set up a registration system that would include payment. So one thought was we could have payment at the door if we wanted to, but the real question we should start with is, do we want to charge for this event or not?
I think it's like Zots to Tots. Charge a very small amount. And people don't seem to mind paying $10 or $15. And it does, if you want a little bit more, you know who's coming. And this is why, again, I think it'd be a very different feel, we'll say, if it was like bring your own, we didn't charge, and it was just showing do something. This feels more like it's an event. So pay a little bit, you get supplement it with your own. That's my sense.
My vote is, think about 10 or 15 sounds a lot. Wife, kids, I don't know what the trivia is.
Well, we don't want to give it away. No, it's trivia that would be catered more towards adults, knowing a lot of the questions. Like there might be a section on Portola Valley history, but families are certainly welcome. But we were thinking that it would probably attract more of an adult crowd. John?
It's just a matter of what we set the fee at. So if that's the cost. It's $15 a person, 20 per couple. I think it's actually $40
For a family.
for a family of 5. Right? So it can be
That's like
similar.
$10.
And you can take some off of that because they get a hat, you know. So, you know, it could be $10
Yeah, okay, well, I just,
or $20.
would be like $2 a person.
You can have a volunteer buyout. If you stay and clean up, you don't have to pay.
I like that idea. Yes, there will be prizes.
Prizes
Don't,
or
don't
prizes?
expect to go to, you know, the Caribbean or anything like that.
Nothing big trophy, like
You get to
Um,
go,
I mean, Dave, what
Okay,
are
I'm
your
gonna get
thoughts
control
about,
here, because I want to be home
about
before midnight.
charging?
What do you think? Do you like the idea of charging? or not?
I actually think $10 a person is very reasonable, and it could be, I don't know what it would be per family.
I think you do have to
I-
set an age limit. You probably have to say like, 16 and above or something.
if
Otherwise,
they
you end up
15, is it
babysitting.
easy to-
Yeah, if we're gonna have alcohol there, maybe we just want to say this is for
Yeah.
adults.
Adults only. I mean, I think it's okay to charge. I don't think $10, quite frankly, would make people decide whether to come or not. Even
Yeah,
if
I
they-
don't even know if they pay it, if they don't just bail on the $10 either.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I don't think it enforces them coming either.
No, I agree. I don't think,
Because it's not high enough to,
It's not,
high
it's not enough that it, like,
yeah.
I mean, if it's raining, I'm probably not gonna come for 10. This won't be raining. in May.
It's indoors, Patty, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so
I'm okay. I just think.
but
the
I
big-
like the idea of it being, I'm torn, right? Because I'd like the idea of just come and we have enough space. Just come and like, if we want to pass a hat or whatever, so, but I also like the idea of it being self-sustaining.
well, another idea would be to take donations at the door.
But people don't carry cash.
That's true.
You need like a Venmo or something. That's another thing. If somebody paid $10, if somebody didn't pay and they come, we have a way to take the $10 at the door.
For, again, Zoxipots, it's all the same issues. So there is pre-registration and then there's registration.
You need a cash box.
Well, we do have a cash box, but what was really critical was that we did move to having Venmo. So, and if we have issues with the town doing that, by the way, I can do it all because we do it for soccer and softball. We all have our own registration systems and ways to pay, get paid. So it's better to go through the town. It should be a town event. It should be more like Zots to Tots. But again, so there's the pre-registration, and if we wanted, and we wanted to do the door, which I think we should do, but I want to come to something that I'm concerned about, which is, we can have it be where they can pay in cash. Or they can get, PayPal, and I can get it set up easily, because we did it for Zots to Tots. Scanner, they just put their phone on it. The issue is the same issue we have with Zots to Tots, which is that we went from 100 people, 200 people to 300 people the next year to 400 people this year. So we have no idea how many people are going to come. In Zots to Tots, other than handing out hats and T-shirts, we can kind of come. Right? Here, as you say, there's going to be 50 to 75 people. What happens? If 100 people? So, 50
Yeah.
register and then 50 more show up.
Yeah, and I think my thought on that is that we could probably accommodate 100 people in there, and we'd have to have a wait list after that. I don't know when we have signups, is that we'll have to have a limited, we'll have to say space is limited.
Yeah, probably be where that's just kind of monitoring the register, say, up to whatever we want to say, 100 people, 75 people. And monitoring the registration at some point, if it looks like it's full, based on the registration.
I wonder if you just registered by teams instead of by individuals. So if you said, okay, put a team together and it's $25 per team or something like that. And then at least we know we can stop at 6 teams. So if somebody just walks up to the door, we say, sorry, you know, it's a team event. I don't know, I'm just making this up on the fly.
The only comment we said with that is that some people would like to probably sign up solo just because they, you know. it's,
Because they
you know,
don't have any
a team,
friends
it
or-
would- Yes.
Like me,
Patty.
like me.
Uh,
I get it, John, I get it.
So, you know, that, and we would just say we would place you.
I know, it's just an idea. Well, we can have a team, but for people with no friends.
There is, I mean, this is also our first time trying it. So maybe we should, I mean, I'm gonna throw this out as keep it simple, which means don't charge. And if it is successful, which we hope it is, then we can look at figuring out how to
Yeah.
maybe charge for it the next time. It's a thought.
We'll still get the wine and beer and. have it. So that just means we'll have a. ballot, whatever, come up with a $1,500
Yeah.
cost.
We would not be recouping our expense.
Then we could see how much we need to plan on in the future.
So, okay, so all in favor of not charging for this event, raise your hand. Hmm? Okay. Okay,
I'm happy to do it without. Again, I would just, I'm more worried about managing it. And so, again, is there a registration anyway?
yes, there would be a
And
registration.
you know how many are coming in.
Right.
Usually a lot of people come. And it's good to have that.
What else is going on May the 25th?
Well, on May the 13th, I don't know of anything, but I haven't. It's the day before Mother's, no. Is Mother's Day, Mother's Day is the 14th,
What day is it?
Saturday, May 13th.
Through the chair, has that date been cleared with staff? Just curious.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And the room was available, so everything's good on
And
that.
they would have tables and chairs for 100.
Yes, we can
whatever.
use they have enough round tables and chairs, and they have AV equipment, but we'd have to test that, and we may need to get depending on whose computer we use, we may need a connector, I was told.
Yeah, there's a few logistics. that
Yeah.
just need to get down. Somebody has to come up with, how many questions, do you think, how many?
So we were talking about 5 rounds, 10 questions each. So a round could have a theme, like for instance, one could be Portola Valley history, one, or, you know, something, Portola Valley. And then one could be sports, and one would be movies, whatever the themes are. And then you'd have to have a tiebreaker question as well in each one. So that's 55 questions.
These would be paper and they'd have to check their phone at the door and all this other stuff.
Well, they would have to not use their phone. And that, I think we'd need proctors, maybe.
Probably done.
There's people who do this every,
Right,
every
right. So
Friday night
it
or
would be,
whatever. We
it
should
would be
probably check
paper.
with them.
It would be paper, and then you turn in your paper after each round, and there's a scorekeeper, and then you announce after the next round. So it's pretty straightforward.
All right, some team of 5 people. I don't get my own table like that, share it, and then other people will be mixed in, but that way if you got a table, you got 12 people and the table of 10.
So we were hoping the team, that we can limit how many people are on a team, but I think up to 8 on a team, and then each team has their own table.
Okay. We counted a lot.
Well, if we got that many, but we were talking about 6, the teams of 6. No, up to 6. And there are, I don't know if I wrote it down, but there are enough tables.
Well, I think what are the decisions we need to make tonight?
It's really about I think
Charging.
we can talk about the logistics later, but it's about whether we want to charge a fee. And do we have the budget?
I will work on the budget. Probably, hopefully get a decision on that.
This we said, no, for simplicity, it's sounded like people were in. Just
Yeah.
because it's a whole lot easier. That's- Just come.
Right, and the other thing that I did explore with staff was sponsorships, and that opens up another can of worms because it becomes technically a donation to the town and needs to be treated differently. So I think for this time, I mean, we may be able to get sponsors for prizes in the future if it goes well, but that we should probably, again, keep it simple.
Have prizes, just not sponsored. No. So that just means they're not paying for it. We just get paid for it. We go get a gift certificate.
We could go buy it.
Not important for the action tonight, but just wondering like how quick, if after this is a rousing success, how quickly can the second one be spun up?
It seems like if this works fairly quickly, as long as the date is available.
Why are you asking, David? It's like, are you that
Well, there
excited?
might,
No, I'm just wondering what our recovery that's.
Well,
not
we
the
had
right word.
talked about kind of rotating. We had talked about maybe a game night, like a board game night or a bingo night. Maybe having a game night every quarter. I'm just making this up. And, you know, it's trivia, then it's bingo, then it's board games. I don't know. Whatever.
yeah, and putting the picnic in there for, as one of the events in the quarter. So there might be, you know, three
Three
total other things per year if it were to work. The other thing I should mention is in chatting with someone about this, they recommended, they thought that maybe this was a cultural arts thing or that we should tie him in. So I have contacted John Badger, but I haven't heard back from him. I know everybody has their own opinion about it, but I just wanted to follow through.
This isn't really going to be that cultural.
Yeah, and who cares who
Speak
owns
for
it as long as-
yourself.
as long as
Depends on the
people are out having fun.
questions.
Or like
Depends on the
going out to a
questions.
bar with your friends, having
Actually-
some drinks.
Actually, it depends on the
People,
answer.
people listen to music sometimes.
I've already got Nancy Lund working on the question.
Well, you have to start drinking at 6.
Okay, all right, decision.
Okay, I move that we approve the plan with no fee, under the assumption that we have the $1,500 left in the budget.
I hear a
Left in the
second.
budget.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Pass.
I'll just make a general comment. This is more Karen and I do think the logistics is really, really, really critical. It's gonna have to be really kind of planned out that you walk in the door, here's the piece of paper they have. You know,
We got time for that, John. We got plenty.
I don't
Just
So
say
think-
it.
John,
highlighted.
John, you and I will have a
Celebrate the fact that
subcommittee
we made a
meeting about
decision.
everything, okay?
Okay, is
We
there any
will.
other decision you need?
Yeah.
Is there any other decision you need tonight? No. Okay. All right. We're making progress here, I think. Update on the dog park proposal.
We have had several meetings and I would probably say that in talking with conservation, there is a tremendous concern about putting fencing up because of taking away wildlife migration. I think they feel that aesthetically, you could find a fence that would work within Portola Valley. That's not the issue. It's more about creating a blockage. But that said, they've said if it's a sort of a box within an area that the animals could go around, they could maybe see something like that. We also, I did review the Menlo Park dog parks and Nealon Park, which is also a baseball field. And Dave, you may be able to answer this question. Is that field entirely gated? Like there's no way a
Yes, it
dog?
is. I actually looked at
Yep.
it.
Okay.
It is.
Oh, great. Okay.
Minus someone leaving the gate open, of course, but yeah.
Right,
It's
right.
completely enclosed.
So it's considered dual use, obviously with the baseball field, and the dog park is only open from 8 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. They turn the sprinklers on between 10 and 10:30, which clears out the folks.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
And
spectacularly awesome.
as far as maintenance, the owners are responsible for cleaning up their dogs. And it works reasonably well. The maintenance crew mows once a week and will pick up any droppings that might be there. But as far as this gentleman said, it wasn't that issue, but one issue is that dogs like to dig holes. So that really hurts the field and can
Yeah.
create safety issues. So but we did check that out. And there's a location of, I can mention this, one of the things that we've been trying to figure out is if we could get a section of El Mirador, which is directly behind the soccer field. Because it's at town center, it's got parking, it's got everything, and it's not, it wouldn't be impacting other folks. But that is a tremendous long shot. But it is something that we're trying to figure out if we can talk to folks. It appears that Post is going to be getting that land. So trying to find the right people to talk to there and maybe getting a little piece of it. We'll see. Anything else?
Peninsula Open Space
Patty's
Trust.
been in it. Is there anything else that you would
Peninsula
mention?
Open Space.
Oh, yeah, no, but is there any? No. Yeah, that's the update on that. In progress.
Do we have the right contacts at Post?
Yes, I've actually already initiated one conversation and she told me to talk to somebody else, but that's a very long, that may be, even if it were feasible, it could be incredibly long-term. So we're not near a solution at this point.
So how do we feel about putting gates on the dugouts at Ford?
I would ask the baseball community about that.
So we can check it out.
They're not gonna like it. Right? So the question is how. Right, they're not gonna want it, but
No, I mean, they wouldn't.
so they have no reason to say yes. We just have to decide to tell them you get it.
Well, yeah, the town,
Isn't it
It's town-owned
it's
land, but-
town-owned land?
Yeah, that's. No, they're not, the gates, they don't care about the gates, they care about the dogs. On the field, right?
Yeah, I think you might have said gates, but you
No,
meant dogs.
No, put gates on the dugouts
Right.
so that the field is perfectly enclosed. 'Cause we couldn't do it at Ford because the dugouts are open. You can't enclose, you do enclose Ford Field to make it safe as a dog run, a fully enclosed dog run. You need gates on the dugouts at Ford.
Right.
So put gates on the put gates on the dugouts. Now it's enclosed, use it as a dual use dog park. And wreck it for the baseball,
one of
wreck
the-
it for the baseball. players.
one of the issues that we did talk about in the dog park is that doesn't solve, it's not a full-time dog park. So it would be, say, 2 hours in the morning, and we have a very, very large group of dog owners who have a dog park in the afternoon. So it's a hybrid solution, but it's not a solution. That's not a reason not to do it. But we did talk about that.
Right, unless it's a dedicated dog park.
No, they don't.
So, yeah, I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I must start calling the sheriff on them because they're interfering with my softball practice
The
on
school,
Thursday
we've
at
asked-
town center
Oh, town center, yeah.
here,
Yeah, no, I agree.
having dogs run into my
I'd
practice.
love to be able to do that. I agree. Anyway, we're working on it, aren't we?
We're
Karen's
trying.
doing- Karen's
We
trying.
don't think that at this point, putting the solution of using a baseball field is a good idea. Yeah, we're trying to find a separate area and revisiting some town properties, but trying to figure out the deed restrictions for them.
The latest proposal is Ford Field for sale baseball.
Yes, the field itself. it's,
Yeah.
Well, now you can get into the whole affordable housing.
Okay, next, Hawthorne's property, anything else on dog park? Okay, Hawthorne's property planning.
Hey.
This is the Karen show.
So there was a meeting with Mid-Penn Open Space and the committee liaisons of Town of Portola Valley, which was the first meeting that we've had, to my knowledge, right, Patty? Patty was there for Historical Society. And what I would say is this is going to be a multi-year process. And there's 5 stages that they're going through. They've gone through number 1, which is setting the vision and goals. They completed that in 2021. They now have gone through a process of reviewing the existing conditions and site opportunities. And today they presented to the Mid-Penn Planning and Resources Committee. And if that was approved, to move to that their evaluations and reports were approved, then they would present to the board in April. And then that would move them into the programming and conceptual planning period, which is 12 to 18 months. And after that, there would be an area plan and environmental review, which is another year or so. And the implementation, so it's probably 4 to 5 years before the property would be open to the public. The one thing that they are doing is they'd like to form a public access working group that would, members of the public would collaborate with Mid-Penn and focus on the parking and trail opportunities. And I would say that they recognize that there are parking challenges to this property that they are aware of. Can I add anything to that? That's-
We did bring up the proposal of potentially using some space for dog park.
I did it.
Okay, Karen did it. I didn't. Actually, I clarified. And they kind of broke it down into 2. One was that whether they would open up the trails to dogs. So there's a question about whether dogs would even be allowed on the trails, on leash or off leash. And then they really didn't address the question of the dog park that
No.
they didn't seem too thrilled about.
But they haven't decided
No, they
what
haven't,
uses
no.
are there, but they do have, I will say, Mid-Penn does have one trail. It's called Fulgus Ranch or Reserve. Fulgus, Fulgus Ridge. And that allows dogs off leash, but you're walking on a trail. But again, we have to remain optimistic,
It's years away.
but it's years away.
Anything else on Hawthorne? Nope. Okay, keeping with the current show, how are the web pages coming?
Well, so I'm getting my timing all mixed up on this, but I met with Carrie Chin about proposed site changes, and the first one being to get the out-of-date COVID protocols off of the site. And I was informed that until the town council enacts an ordinance that removes the emergency COVID order that they have in the town from their ordinance a while ago, the website pages can't change. So at one of the regular town council meetings in the open session, I let them know that and requested that they have an ordinance, that they execute an ordinance removing the emergency COVID order. And that's where that stands. So until that happens, we're not allowed to take those pages off.
Which I think is ridiculous. Anyway, but hey,
You actually read it, it's amazing what you have to do. You have to
oh
sort-
yeah,
Supposed to be playing sports.
I
with
got a
masks
call
on
the other
still.
day asking somebody for the code to get into the tennis court.
Actually, we should,
Just They thought she was still locked.
um, I have not sent in a formal letter, so I should do that. Who should it go to, Corey or Sarah? Is Sarah still here to have a?
I'm
new
still here. It can
ordinance
go to Howard.
to Howard.
Howard Young,
Okay.
he's acting town manager.
Oh, it's,
right now.
oh, I didn't know that. So Howard Young is the acting town manager.
Did you have on the agenda to talk about your meeting this morning?
Yes, I do. It's number 5. People don't read my agenda. You make me so sad. I put so much work into it. Okay. Anything else on the web pages? No, thank you. Thank you, Kara, for everything you're doing. Really appreciate it. F, review and discuss measures for protecting recreational space. I have done nothing here. I apologize. It was my item. I'm following up with some town members who have indicated an interest in measures that have been introduced by other municipalities that have been put forth and passed and or rejected to protect the parks and recreational spaces in town. So I need to find out, what's involved, how much it costs, what's, you got to get signatures to put it on ballots and things like that. So, but it's important at least to understand what it would be.
Answer a question I think that's related to that. When you put out on the PV forum, our input in terms of the housing element, is it just on the PV forum or did we submit it officially on record? I didn't do it. So the question is, because it was feedback, did it get submitted formally?
Yeah, it was submitted. I read the, you're talking about the letter that we, yes,
IMDb?
yes, it was submitted formally. I read all the
Oh, yeah,
letters
yeah.
for that and ours was in there.
Because somebody said to me that they couldn't, they were researching it, and couldn't find it.
No, it was in there. I double checked. I think it was in there twice because Karen actually wrote in and said,
I
you
wrote-
attached mine to yours and said more on top of it. Yeah. Okay, California State Grant. I've heard nothing new, but I did not reach out to Howard. I will do that. Nothing new, donated horse sculpture. Nothing new. I'm sure that's all just riveted us to can't actually do anything with that. Understand what's going forward there. And review and discuss any updates on the parking at Rosati. I did attend a meeting this morning at Rosati's. Alpine Inn has put in a request to the town to expand and upgrade their facility. Primarily the kitchen, but they are looking at other aspects of the restaurant. No. Yeah.
We can get a
Um,
reservation.
Trivia night. They took the proposal to the ASCC because it requires planning approval. The ASCC asked them to get input from people around town who are affected, one of which is Parks and Recreation. Because as we all know, there are parking issues at Rosati's Field because we compete for the same parking spaces with the people who attend. and buy the alternative. So I met there with Geek Hunter, who's the developer, who's one of the owners. Eric, somebody, I forget his name. He manages the operations of the restaurant. Myself, Justin from our Public Works, and a guy from Alpine. Street. Eric. Was it Eric? It was pouring rain, but that's okay. We actually had a good meeting, and I did not bring the drawings, but they're going to email them to me, and I will send them out to you. Which drawings are these? The ones that I will send out to you. Which I'm going to discuss. I printed something out. Oh, that's one. That's the parking lot. Yeah. Can I hand that out? Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. What they are proposing is to add a driveway. And if you look at this drawing, thank you for bringing this, Karen. If you look at the far, so if you're reading it, Like this.
Alpine Road is at the top.
Yeah, upper north. The far left is the closest to the Rosati School. And those shaded areas that you see there are parking spaces, which they have signs up and are to be meant to be reserved for people who are taking part in the field, whether coaches, referees, players, parents, but there's not very many of them. There's like,
10 spots.
yeah. It's like 10 spots.
Which is their property and which is the town property?
I think this is the town
So,
property.
The
and then-
line
yeah,
that you
I-
see,
Wait, just to be,
This is why I printed this out. for
Yeah,
us
thank you.
today. I was obviously not
Thank
doing
you.
it. I thought it
this
was
is
very
what we talked
interesting.
about from this morning. Is I should have had it out. Okay.
sorry to interrupt.
Now, what Alpine,
Property to the town.
what Alpine does today is that they, according to them, have two parking attendants that they have during hours. One which is probably right in the middle where that kind of squiggly line is. And then one
The
towards,
squiggly line on the right of the box, correct?
right. And then one which is towards the, at the end of the parking lot near the shaded parking spaces for the field. And what those parking attendants are supposed to do are a couple things. Number one, to manage the flow of traffic. So the flow of traffic right now is to come into the driveway, drive past the restaurant, go straight, then take a make a U-turn at the field and then come back the other way. So if there's a flow of traffic. So the attendants are supposed to manage that flow of traffic so it doesn't get gridlocked. The attendant closer to the soccer field is supposed to ask people if they're there for soccer or for the restaurant. If they're there for soccer, they're supposed to help them to find a place to park, if there's a place to park. If they're the restaurant, they're supposed to send them, further down to hopefully find another place to park. We all know that always doesn't work, right? So that's the way it works today. There's a proposal by Rosati's to put in a driveway, goes out onto Alpine, so take the shaded parking spaces and draw a driveway from there out to Alpine. Now, this is not approved. This is just a conceptual kind of thing right now. It would be a right turn only driveway. Kind of like they got it, Bianchini's where you curve it, so they couldn't prevent a left-hand turn, but they curve it so that you think it's only one. Exit only, no entrance. Exit only. They would also then reverse the traffic so that when you came in past the restaurant, you would go the other direction. So when you got to that squiggly line, you'd make a left turn and you'd come around so that the drop off would be in front of the parking spaces. And then you directly exit out. If that makes sense.
It would be an entrance and-
No, exit
How
only
do how do you enter?
by Rostradero.
Still have to come in
You still have to
through
come in a
Alpine Road,
Rostradero.
through the gentleman, yeah. That would be for them too. It would be everybody.
It would be for
Exit.
everybody. It would be for everybody.
What, you don't have an entrance only and an exit only, right?
Well, you
So-
can
so
also
to get
exit
out.
off.
Or
the
you can
Rostradero.
exit, oh, okay.
It's gonna be the last parking spot at upper row of box then.
Yeah, there's kind of a berm there.
Yeah.
We would go across there. What the belief is that this will do is a couple things. The traffic flow, but also enable drop off a lot better. So there's a feeling that, particularly in practice days, a lot of parents don't stay for practice. They just drop their kids off. They want to get going. They want to leave. Big traffic jam. They could come in, come over, drop their kids off and get right back.
Is there any room for more than one car or drop off? 3 or 4 people dropping off kids?
Well, it'd be like a school drop off. You just have to.
Are there, what are they proposing on game days when people want to park there? Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
They say, by the way, it's not just, they stay, the little kids' parents often stay.
Yeah, that's it. But I think they think, anyway.
But people can only go right, so then they're gonna go.
They can only go right.
To a U-turn at Golden Oak.
If they needed to go back into Portola Valley, they would, the Golden Oak would be kind of like a halfway. So
Yeah,
they,
it's shown on the no.
Right.
yeah, there it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they, yeah, they could do an immediate right and then a left on the Golden Oak.
Oh, U-turn, yeah.
Or, no, you don't you can,
Well,
Allowed by
they'll do,
law.
or you go all the way down to Westridge and then up Westridge if you want to get back into town. So that would be primarily a drop-off solution if it is. But I actually think it's a pretty good solution. I mean, it's better than what we have now.
It may be a little bit of improvement, but I haven't seen it solve the problem.
Right.
The problem is it's
So
not
for
parking.
game days, what we talked about is a couple of things, and the guy from Alpine Strikers was in on this conversation. First of all, for practice, what he said they are going to do is all practice only Monday through Thursday. So Friday afternoons are just impossible. Well, it was always.
right, okay.
Sort of like you caught it, AYSO is saying they only like to play there on Mondays because Alpine is closed. Right.
Conversation we had.
Yep.
So he seemed willing to sign up for this. He said Monday through Thursday. Not a problem. Friday doesn't make sense. He also talked about Saturdays and Sundays. His thinking was, we usually have games at 9, 11, 1, and 3. He's saying we'll do the 9 and 11 and the 3, but not the 1 o'clock.
Why are they giving up any
I-
field?
He actually offered.
Well, So I don't know who you were speaking with. I talked to a gentleman who somehow is involved. I think he's a parent. And he said that they're so frustrated that they won't even schedule any games there anymore because they can't park. I mean, it's a big issue for anyone who wants to use that field. Okay,
He wasn't at the meeting. But there
No,
was an
it wasn't-
Alpine Striker representative at the meeting. And this is what he, I mean, I'm not saying he was happy about it. He just said, this is what I think would be the best solution or compromise, if you want to use that word, because we aren't going to solve the parking problem, right?
Hey, this is town property, right? This box.
Yeah.
So why don't we just take all of the town property for town parking? And then
How are you going to manage that? Jeff? How?
By saying that they can't park there.
How?
You put up a rope and signs and say, this is the same way we do it right here at the soccer field here.
Sheriff,
Right? There's a horse park next to us and they have a limited parking, right? And so what we've done is they've put up a sign that said, horse parking that way. Can't park this way. And when you do, they tell them you have to stop parking on parking spot. That's the way that works.
well, or even, it doesn't need to be that whole box, but a much bigger portion than what
We did
they're
talk about a bigger. box.
allotting. I mean, there's not enough spots there.
Yeah.
And something that could have very clear signage that at certain hours, those spots are reserved for,
We did,
the field.
that was brought up, more parking spaces, particularly if you turn that into a drop-off area.
But that was just the starting. to say, why isn't it-
My feeling from, I don't know, Sarah may have a better idea about this. I did not get the feeling from the town that that is something that they wanted to improve.
haven't heard that much about it, but I did speak to someone about it. And it was historically, it's been like the Preston.
Well, yeah, it's
So
But the issue is only After it got renovated, the demand way up.
Yeah, no.
Beforehand, they
I
were not,
know. I
there was
understand.
no problem. There was not a parking. By the way, I will say, speaking of here, it's a mess here too, because they're trying to get the kids into the soccer field and they're turning around and you've got all the cars in that driveway for the pickleball and whatever. And you've got the horse people and they're trying to turn around, you know, got two police cars, and you have a van and trailer that's there for emergency preparedness, and it's just a mess. But anyway,
I understand.
It's about the work, so that this doesn't-
I mean, the issue here is also, and I don't mean to interrupt, but the parking that cannot be accommodated if you limit it to the soccer people is gonna flow onto Aguastadero and it's gonna flow onto Alpine. It already does, which is not a safe solution. That's not to say it's not the right thing to do, but you know that people are gonna go to Rosati's and they're gonna want to park somewhere. What was a discussion at the meeting was how can we best compromise, because it's not a perfect solution for everybody.
Apparently, do they pay, does Alpine Inn pay for parking?
I do not know.
Yeah, I've heard that they do, and I actually would be concerned because therefore it's kind of suggesting that this is all okay, right? Paying for it,
That's
and they're
fair
paying
statement,
at
yeah.
a,
Yeah, I don't know.
a rate that I'm sure is not.
How would we find that out? Who would
Well,
that a
it's-
Cindy
it's-
question?
Yeah, no, it's well, it's a Sarah question, but it would be.
I'm
part of-
having a hard time hearing you guys. I didn't want to keep interrupting and saying that, but I couldn't hear that discussion for the most
Do you
part.
know if Rosati's pays us for the parking for the town-owned property that's there?
I believe something has been worked out, yes, but let me confirm the details of that.
Okay, thank you.
And also, Sarah, what the agreement was, if there is a payment going on, what the agreement was for the parking for the soccer field users.
I think you're right, John. I mean, I think if they are paying for it, then that probably leads them to the assumption that they can do what they want. Right?
I just feel like the financials to the town, how helpful it is for us to get a little bit of money out from
Yeah.
Alpine Inn.
Yeah.
And again, I just feel that they are absolutely taking total advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
They've pushed everybody out, basically. Right? AYSO saying you can't use the field right, ever, except when it's closed, right? And again, Alpine strikers are trying to deal with it. They don't want to upset anybody, right? Because they sometimes get attacked, frankly. Things are said about them, and so they're trying to be nice, but they've been pushed around.
So did.
Can I? I was just gonna say, Patty, I think you were aware that they were at the last ASCC meeting. With the-
Yes, that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was the genesis of this, so I'm sorry. So that was, there was not there was pretty much no public at that meeting. I was liaison for that meeting as well. And, you know, it's interesting for me to hear this discussion. I think that it would have been helpful feedback to incorporate into that ASCC discussion. My understanding is that that was a part one of a two-part process with them. And so if those of you from Parks and Rec want to provide feedback at, you know, obviously can do it in a myriad of ways, but that might be another way too, just FYI.
Yeah. Sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry you couldn't hear. That was the
I didn't realize that's how this topic started. Okay.
Yeah, which was ASCC asked Rosati's to go out and get feedback from people that were impacted, and the specific one was Parks and Rec. So that's why we had the meeting this morning, and
Okay, now meeting was, okay,
yeah,
that's
and
helpful.
my understanding is they are going back to the SCC next Monday. And I offered to be at that meeting to present the viewpoint of Parks and Rec as well.
That would be great. That would be great. So you did meet with them, with the owners of Alpine Inn
Yes.
to
yes,
share
I
all
did.
this?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
So Patty, in the meeting that you had this morning, was there any discussion of them looking at any kind of shuttle service? That's something that Hawthorne's is thinking about, but
They being.
they
Rosati's?
being Rosati's.
No.
Okay. The one thing that I noticed that they've done, which is great, is they have taken some spots at the very front and said they're reserved for carpools. It's not a lot, but at least they're trying to incent that, and that they did have an attendant there watching those spots, but I didn't see any other attendants in the lot.
Supposedly
just-
there's 2 attendants.
I'm just sharing,
Yeah, no,
that was
no,
on
that's
Saturday.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
I'll just highlight the fact that there are about 200 spots here, and they've given the soccer people 10,
I don't-
you know, and I don't know how many customers go into Alpine Inn, what, 200, maybe 300, but there's probably 50, 100 soccer at times, right? If you think about a game, right, there are.
Strikers guy said about 30. He said.
There's
we had-
30 players.
Okay, so we asked him, we said, if
and
we
there's
had to
coaches, referees,
put aside more
parents.
parking spots, what would be a good number for them to plan around? And he said 30
30 parking spots.
parking
That's
spots.
it,
Yeah.
That'd be closer to what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did talk about moving the barriers and attributing more parking to soccer, particularly on Saturdays and Sundays. And that was a variable that was on the table, not decided. I can certainly bring it up at the meeting. I personally, I feel sorry for that poor little attendant that's standing with that rope there that has to manage, people coming in and out. Probably some teenage kid that's getting $12 an hour. That's not to say it's right or wrong, but someone could be saying, I'm coming in for soccer, and they're coming to the restaurant.
So, yeah, I mean, I read through, I just looked for the stuff about parking in their proposal, in the Alpine Inn proposal. And it says per the 2017 CUP, parking for the Alpine Inn is required to be at least 94 cars. And it goes, into that. And then it says there's currently 180 parking spots in that lot. So, conditional use permit.
So if you can take 40 spots and cart and say it's reserved for soccer, I think that would be extraordinarily helpful.
And we need to encourage more carpooling and consider some type of shuttle, courtesy shuttle or something.
Field on Saturdays is overflowing the Alpine Road.
We could be good about the season, soccer season as well. In terms of when the official soccer seasons are. In the summer, there's no.
Signs could clearly state that.
Yeah, they'll be taken down.
Yeah.
There is already a sign.
Okay, so the feedback that I'm getting from Parks and Rec is great, but not, okay, but not good or great. I think an exit there would be good. I have an opinion, but
I don't know. See, I worry about pulling out on Alpine
Kinda
Road
take
there
away-
too.
And will that take away any parking spots?
no.
Okay.
Well, if it doesn't work, they can always put a chain up, they don't open.
Yeah, okay. All right, but what I'm hearing primarily from this committee is that we should still look for more committed parking for soccer. 30 to 40 spots would be nice, and we should encourage some other kind of alternate transportation for people to the restaurant. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think it's important that they hear that the field is being less utilized because people can't use it due to the parking.
But to be fair, the strikers guy this morning said, you know, we'll take out Friday practice and we'll take out a game Saturday and Sunday. So that's what they're hearing. I didn't say that. He said that.
Well, I just have them go up down here at the restaurant. Start practicing in there. Start kicking the ball around.
Lindsay, you're a funny guy.
Huh?
Oh. Anything else on parking of the Zottis?
And that's
Okay.
about it.
I have no other agenda items for this evening. Is there anything else that I'd like to discuss? Bring up?
Patty, I have one thing that I wanted to share.
Sure.
Real quick, and this is future looking. We worked on council priorities, at a couple of the last meetings. One of which is going to be forward thinking, with a focus on revenue generation as well as, a town center master plan. And a lot is TBD at this point, but I just wanted to flag that for you guys, given the conversation I heard tonight where you were talking about things like, pickleball, obviously, dog park, and the congestion around the soccer parking over there. Those are all kinds of things that will be, important inputs and thinking to a town center master plan. Right now, we're just talking about getting the fact of doing a plan on the calendar, very, very, very early stages, but just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you. All right. There's a motion for adjourn.
I'm with you.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody vote on that?
Thanks,
Good
Sarah.
night. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
No, I think I threw away a bunch of binders.
Karen, could I bother you for another guide?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to, John. I wonder if it would be beneficial to have representatives from Rikers and AYSO and any to come to the next. Yeah, with boxes on the table. Yeah, you would know who they are. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay.